국내 최대 규모의 초등학생 영어토론대회가 떴습니다. 오직 초등학생들만 참가 가능한 영어토론대회지만 어리다고 놀리지 말아요. 막강한 논리력을 갖춘 초등학생들의 팽팽한 경기, 이곳에 다 모였습니다. 대회 긴장감과 아이들의 귀염을 동시에 볼 수 있는 대회, 지금 시작합니다. 지난달 Ytn과 한국외국어대학교가 공동 주최하는 초등학생 영어토론대회가 열렸습니다. 2009년 고등학생 부문을 시작으로 초등학생 부문까지 확대된 이 대회. 아침 8시 참가자 등록을 위해 새벽부터 출발했다는데요. 이른 시간인데도 아이들의 눈은 똘망똘망합니다. 올해 이 대회에 참가한 학생의 수만 해도 무려 총 332명으로 국내 영어토론대회 중 최대 규모라고 합니다.
바로 이 자리에서 여러분들이 세계화 시대의 대표적인 언어라고 할 수 있는 영어로 토론을 한다고 생각하니 참으로 대견스럽다는 마음을 감추기 어렵습니다.
참가 학생뿐 아니라 명사들도 함께 참석하여 자리를 빛냈습니다. 참가 학생들을 위한 응원 한마디 부탁해요.
초등학생인데도 이렇게 영어를 잘해서 토론대회까지 참석하는 거 보니까 굉장히 부럽기도 하고 또 자랑스럽고 대견스럽습니다. 앞으로 더욱더 영어 공부를 많이 해서 정말 대한민국을 넘어서 글로벌 국제 리더로서 크게 성장하기를 바랍니다.
대회를 준비하고 있는 강당 곳곳에서 낯익은 친구들이 보이네요. 그런데 이 학생들 뭔가 굉장히 여유로워 보이는데요. 이 학생들을 어디서 봤나 했더니 아하, 기억하시나요? 작년 제1회 대회 출전했던 친구들이었군요.
어디서 왔어요?
부산에서 왔어요.
저 멀리 부산에서 올라왔다는 여학생. 작년 대회에서도 차분하게 또박또박 발표도 잘했었는데요. 올해 다시 참가할 이유가 궁금해지네요.
네, 왜냐하면 POI를 상대팀한테 하고 싶었는데 할 기회가 없어서 못했어요.
오늘은 어떻게? 이번 대회에서는 뭐 가고 뭐 그런 거 있어요?
POI를 꼭 하고 싶어요.
여기서 잠깐, POI란 뭘까요? POI란 포인트 오브 인포메이션의 약자로 중요한 정보란 뜻입니다. 토론 대회에서 발표자가 이야기하는 도중 질문을 하는 행위를 말하는데요. 간단해 보이지만 이는 상대편의 흐름을 끊는 아주 중요한 전략입니다. POI 때문에 당황하는 학생들도 적지 않다고 하네요. 초등학생 영어 토론대회 방식은 의회식 토론을 기본으로 하는데요. 4명으로 구성된 한 팀이 논거를 연설하면 상대팀이 반박하고 다시 논거를 주장하는 방식입니다. 자, 이렇게 서로 논거를 주고받는 학생들을 보고 심판은 점수를 매기는데요. 채점 기준은 크게 발표 스타일, 내용, 전략, POI 이렇게 4가지입니다. 자, 그럼 이 대회 하이라이트 본선 4라운드 마지막 경기를 보러 가볼까요? 본선 마지막 경기를 보여줄 친구들은 티타늄 팀과 제니스 팀. 토론의 주제는 바로 과학자들이 유해물질을 발견했을 때 공표 없이 이를 없애야 한다인데요. 부담감이 상당히 클 것으로 예상되는 티타늄의 첫 주자는 과연 누구? 바로 서울국제학교의 석수빈 학생. 진중하게 연습에 임하는 모습이 인상적인데요. 이런 수빈 학생이 첫 주자가 된 데에는 이유가 있다고 합니다.
평소 성격은 되게 막 웃기고 막 장난 많이 치고 되게 착한데 이렇게 막 말할 때 디베이트 할 때는 되게 성실하게 어른같이 되게 깨끗하게 정리 잘하고 되게 막 말도 잘하니까 첫 번째로 했어요.
침착하게 단상으로 올라가는 수빈 학생. 첫 주자라 그런지 살짝 긴장한 모습입니다. 수빈 학생
Ladies
힘내요.
and gentlemen and Mr. Madam Speaker, right now it is World War III and scientists found an extremely dangerous substance in World War III. And the motion is, this House believes that the scientists should conceal the discovery of the substance and destroy it. And first of all, we would like to define the motion. We define conceal the discovery as to make the citizens never know about the substance that was found in World War III. And we would like to define the substance as a really rare, small portion, almost impossible to make object that only the scientists discovered. And we would like to define destroy it as to make the substance disappear completely and never be found again. And I would like to talk about the status quo. In the status quo right now, there are people who are having a hard time from destructive weapon that was created a long time ago. Like, for example, nuclear. There was nuclear weapons created in World War before, and it is now having a negative effect right now in the society right now. And to prevent and to support this idea, I would like to give 3 arguments today. The first argument, prevent further sacrifice provided by me. And the second argument, citizens' effect provided by me. And finally, our last argument, further consequences provided by our wonderful Deputy Prime Minister. And I would like to go on to our first argument. Our first argument is going to be about how it prevents further sacrifice. Ladies and gentlemen, the substance found could kill a huge amount of people right now in World War III and also the further future. Let me give an example to clarify this point. In World War before, people has found nuclear and has been used for the war. They were made as nuclear weapons and has had negative effects in the society even before and now. Nuclear brings disfiguration to humans and many other negative effects, like also deaths. Nuclear still has effect in our society, still disfiguring people and leading to deaths. We don't want that in our society later on, and to prevent that, we think that we need to conceal the discovery and destroy the substance. And also for the nuclear example, we would like to give another specific example of Japan. In Japan, nuclear particles have been spreaded and loss of huge amount of visitors just because of nuclear. We don't want that in our society right now because this is a really negative effect in our society right now.
Wait, ma'am.
This case could happen if we reveal the danger of the substance, and however, if we conceal the found of the substance, it could not lead to the negative effect right now, like the society. And our society will become a safer and an organized society right now and the future too. If we reveal the dangerous substance to the society, like I pointed out, there will be a whole lot of negative effects like the nuclear, and we do not want that in our society right now. And now I would like to go on to our second argument about the citizens' effect. Ladies and gentlemen, what would you feel like after you discovered there is an extremely dangerous substance in this world? You will be in panic and in chaos. You will think that our society is in danger and you will want to get out of it, and you will be in extreme fear. You could get harmed from this substance or even die. You wouldn't want that. You will be filled with fear. However, if we do conceal it, no one will feel fear and will be in chaos. And the scientists are going to destroy it completely, so there's no need to worry because like I said, they're going to destroy the substance, which is going to be gone from our whole society, which is giving a beneficial effect. Our side, the government side, is trying to benefit and relieve the society, and that only works when the scientists conceal the discovery and actually destroy it. Our side, the government side, has a better, safer, and less fearful solution by concealing the discovery and destroy it. Like I have said, this benefits the citizens, the society, the government, and much more, which proves that a solution is way more beneficial. What have I told you so far, Mr. and Madam Speaker? We have told you that if we actually conceal the discovery of the substance found in World War III and destroy it, there will be beneficial effects. For example, it could prevent further sacrifice and actually, like the example I gave you about the nuclear and nuclear weapons, and I have told you that there will be the citizens' effect if we do not conceal the discovery, and it will lead to chaos and fear, and it will become a dangerous society if we do that. For these reasons, we are very, very proud to propose.
정부 수상 역할의 수빈 학생은 핵 문제를 예시로 내세워 유해 물질의 위험성에 대해 설명했는데요. 유해 물질의 위험성 공표가 시민들에게 희생과 악영향을 불러일으킨다고 주장했습니다. 정부 측의 탄탄한 논거를 반박할 자는 과연 누구일 소냐? 대망의 첫 주자는 바로 성남 정자 초등학교 김민진 학생. 민진 학생이 야당 측 첫 주자로 나선 이유는?
우리 첫 번째 주자인 민진이는 친구들이 프랩 시간 때 얘기한 내용을 잘 정리해서 무대에 나가서 떨지 않고 말하기 때문에 우리의 중요한 첫 번째 주자입니다.
무대에서 떨지 않는다는 민진 학생, 침착하게 해주세요.
Mr. Madam Speaker, we believe that we met a government team which is really irresponsible in a long-term perspective. We believe that in a war, casualties are already existing and it is something that is inevitable, and the government's role in this situation is to reduce the casualty as well as they could using any method and reduce people dying or people suffering from the situation. So before moving on to our constructive cases, we want to deal with some rebuttals to the points from the Prime Minister. First of all, we believe that to reduce the sacrifice time, we believe that we should actually reduce the time of having a war. When we actually extend this war period for like 10 years, we believe that more suffers going to be made, more people are going to encounter death, and more people are going to get harmed for their possessions too. We believe that they should actually work to actually stop the war and reduce the harm that actually going to citizens who live in that society. Number two, we believe that the government is thinking that war is so peaceful time, we can actually extend it to a period but we believe that war is already a time of fear, and to actually find solution to the most fearless solution is to actually stop the war and reduce the suffering time for these innocent individuals who are in the society. And as the result, we are very proud to oppose today's motion. So moving on to the opposition bench, we have three arguments for today. First of all, about the necessity of this new substance, new technology. Second of all, about the benefits of using benefits of this new technology. And the third argument about further effects will be presented by my most capable deputy leader of opposition. So moving on to my first argument. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that we see a clear necessity of the technology. We believe that war is already inhumane, and the best way to make it humane is to minimize the casualties, and the way is to stop war. We believe that this is an urgent situation, not a situation that we can extend this period and use more time. So we believe that we should use this substance to help people stop suffer. We believe that we should pursue the happiness for the greater goods. We should actually stop all the citizens in one society to get killed or get damaged by this tragic event. We believe that if we just leave it alone as the government, we believe that it is really irresponsible for the government to leave it alone to make the people keep suffer for years when wars are not going to finish really easily. We believe that government has to take a responsible point in a dangerous situation to actually stop the casualties and actually stop the suffering that people are actually getting from the situation. We believe that natural check and balance exists, so people scientists and the nations are not going to use this technology in a really inhumane way. We believe that people already know, and the scientists actually know that this technology is so influential, might harm everyone, so we believe no abuse will be made even if they use it. Also, they will use this in only drastic situation when everyone is dying in the situation. We believe that they will not actually use this in a really harmful way that can kill everyone. For example, U.S. actually made many problems in the previous wars before, so they actually feel responsibility and now have more policies to help these people, casualties that they actually caused. We believe that because of these, the government does not want to be blamed. We believe that abuse of this technology will not be made, and it will be used in a good way to actually stop people suffer from the situation. Number two, moving on to my second argument, we believe that there are benefits of this new technology. We believe that we reduce casualty, and there are further benefit. We believe that this can actually help the aftermath situation after the war finishes. We have two scenarios. First of all, a long war that goes for 10 years without using this new technology. The nation will be devastated. It's going to be destroyed, and we believe that infrastructure and social structures are going to be destroyed. But if we actually have a fast end of this war, people are going to have more. It's going to help them to stand up, overcome this situation, and recover and rebuild the society. We believe that this is a second situation is a better circumstance after a war because less infrastructure was destroyed, and it is easier for the society members to rebuild their society. Number two, we believe that this can actually lead to scientific development. We do not think that we have to sacrifice people for scientific development, ladies and gentlemen, but we clarify this as we can use this to reduce casualty and also use it for scientific development. We believe that nothing has only a bad way, but it has a good way and a bad way. We believe that after this war, we can actually use this good technology on a good future usage, and as a result, for these reasons, we are very proud to oppose today's motion.
야당 대표 역할의 민진 학생은 불가피한 전쟁에서는 신물질과 신기술로 희생을 최소화하는 것이 중요하다고 반박했는데요. 신기술은 바람직한 방향으로 활용될 수 있다고 주장했습니다. 이러한 논리라면 정부 측도 꽤나 골치가 아프겠어요. 어깨가 무거울 것 같은 정부 측 다음 주자는 정부 측 부수상 역을 맡은 Ytn 초등학교 윤효정 학생. 효정 학생이 두 번째 주자로 나선 이유는?
이번 주자인 건요, argument 같은 거를 좀 더 빨리빨리 말할 수 있는데 그거마저도 엄청 클리어하게 말해주고 훨씬 뭔가 자신감이 있는 친구예요.
논쟁에 강한 효정 학생 기대가 됩니다.
Under the motion, this House believes that the scientists should conceal the discovery and destroy it. I'm the Deputy Prime Minister, and I'd like to go straight on to my rebuttals. So, the elder talked about lessening the war time. However, first of all, having this weapon will result in many casualties, and second of all, UP has no clear policy to stop the war. Ladies and gentlemen, look at history. History repeats itself. Nuclear weapons were made in order to stop war, but resulted in so much more casualties. So we need to stop this immediate death and panic that can happen by revealing the existence of this chemical. Now, going on to our last argument about further consequences. So, first, we have two levels of analysis for this. First of all, there will be a discrimination against the minority that is very much unnecessary. After World War I, Adolf Hitler controlled citizens' fear. And what did he do? He discriminated the Jewish and killed many of them without an appropriate reason. Because of this, some of them are still recovering from the disastrous massacre. When there is already enough fear coming to the citizens because of the world that war, such discovery of a potential weapon will construct more fear. Now, at this point, let's look back at Adolf Hitler's case. He controlled the Germans' fear to grab power and killed many. This fear that will be caused by this new weapon or the possible weapon substance has a high possibility of being used for bad purposes once again by people such as Adolf Hitler. Now, when this fear is used, the racial minority in the status quo will be discriminated and killed once more like the Jewish were. We do not want more deaths to result in the status quo than there is already being caused by the World War. So, going on to our next level of analysis is about the possibility of World War IV. As I've explained before, Adolf Hitler killed many Jewish people. Also, he killed more by starting World War II under the excuse of revenge for the Germans. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, in many cases, history replayed itself as in the case of 신라 백제 고려 and 신라 후 백제 고려. As I've explained, there is a high possibility of an individual like Adolf Hitler taking control again and creating World War IV. Why is this problematic? So, first of all, there is a possibility that lots of people are going to be sacrificed by a war. Yes? Isn't there a check and balance that people are not, like dictators are not going to come and they're not going to abuse this because they do not want to get blamed from the citizens?
Now, we seem to have a very irresponsible opposition today to not even look at the history. Now, in the history, there was still check and balance in the system when World War I and II has occurred. But still, there was Adolf Hitler coming out and killing many people. We believe that the check and balance system in the status quo, especially when it is weakened by the war, will be insufficient to keep this from happening. Now, going back onto our level of analysis. So this is problematic because there will be lots of more sacrifices, and without this policy passing, the weapon will cause more and more death. The opposition is being very much irresponsible and only looking at the scientific benefits and etc. and not considering the citizens' lives. Ladies and gentlemen, we proved that we have a higher morality ground by saving more lives than the opposition side's policy would. Although the opposition keeps on arguing that they need to end this war quickly, what happened with Japan's case? Many people died, and there were lots of casualties caused by this. Even if there could have been casualties caused by the continuous war, we do not think that it is immoral or justified in order to use this weapon and kill many just because
just because it may end the war faster. For these reasons, we are very proud to propose.
히틀러의 유대인 학살을 예로 들며 소수 집단의 차별을 경계했습니다. 또한 전쟁 상황에서는 견제와 균형의 원칙이 제 역할을 못한다는 것을 꼬집었습니다. 효정 학생의 말에 고개가 절로 끄덕여지네요. 점점 결과를 예측하기 어려운 상태로 경기가 진행되고 있는데 어라? 열심히 하는 친구들 사이에서 그냥 지켜보기만 하는 이 친구? 바로 야당 두 번째 주자인 성남 정자초등학교 홍은준 학생인데요.
이번 주자 저희 은준이는 준비 시간에는 이렇게 열심히 안 하는 것처럼 보일 수도 있지만은 이렇게 시작하면은 굉장히 신중한 모습으로 잘 임하는 모습이 정말 멋있고 좋은 생각들을 잘 해내고 이렇게 반박하는 것들을 남들보다 훨씬 더 뛰어난 두 가지 반박도 생각해내고 이러기 때문에 저희의 두 번째 발표자로 굉장히 적합한 친구입니다.
자, 그렇다면 은준 학생 실력을 보여주세요.
So, Mr. Madam Speaker, when an extremely inhumane war with suffering is continued for a very long time, the last resort and the most beneficial and moral way the government should take is to prioritize an utilitarian principle and save as many lives of citizens as they can. And even if some people are sacrificed in this case, we can provide financial support and increased social awareness to them and compensate for their suffering. And in this debate, we are not saying that we should kill people because of scientific development or whatnot reasons. To restate, we also do not like to sacrifice even a small number of people. But in order to achieve global peace, we believe that this prioritizing more number of people is the only way to save this number of people. And also because the countries have a natural check and balance to use only these devastating weapons when a really serious harm is caused by the war. Therefore, they will not really use this very devastating weapon in all cases. So now, before I move on to the last argument about further benefits, I want to rebut the government's entire case. Their first argument was about the harms, and they stated about how this weapon can harm a lot of society. So we have two responses. Firstly, this may be more if we do not use this weapon, and if the war is more prolonged. And we believe that this harm also stands in their case. And secondly, when there is no other message left, the priority of the government should be to save as many of the left people, not even if this could result in some citizen casualties. And their second argument was also citizens' effects, and they stated about how there will be no harm to citizens. We have two responses. Firstly, casualties always happen in wars, and then the government should try to minimize the casualties in this case. And therefore, the only way is to sacrifice some people in order to minimize the casualties in this debate. And secondly, there is a natural check and balance, as we have proved, because the international community would not want another incident of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Only when there is almost a genocide, for example, as Hitler in this war, then these countries and the international community would try and think about using this weapon. And now, rebutting the last argument about discrimination about minorities, they have stated about how these weapons can be abused and used for bad purposes. We have two responses. Firstly, we do not see why, because the weapons built are not to be given to these countries who are like Hitler, but these weapons as a way to reduce casualties. And secondly, we believe that rational are morally responsible and rational enough to know whether to give this weapon to a Hitler or to America and save more lives. And now we taking our arguments and rebutted our first two arguments by stating how we have given no clear policy to solve this war. We have one response. Because this debate is a value debate, whether what team has a moral high ground and can prioritize more lives of citizens in the context of using this weapon or whatnot, we think we do not need to give an alternative policy. So now moving on to the last point about further benefits. So, Mr. Madam Speaker, if the war is continued and the war ends eventually, then we believe that there will be a social discrimination. For example, if America did not use an atomic bomb in World War II and Japan eventually lost, the international community will blame Japan as the cause for war and increase suffering. In this case, nobody will recognize the suffering of innocent Japanese citizens when they were forced by the Japanese government to participate in the war and kill many other people. Then this creates a social discrimination that all Japanese people are bad and all Japanese people were the cause for increased suffering. And this results in harms such as discrimination in schools, and also discrimination in getting a job in the international community as well. And when we do not pass this motion, then we have another benefit of
how sacrifice of these Japanese cities are acknowledged, and these Japanese people will not be discriminated, and moreover leads to further benefits, such as the international society recognizing the sacrifice of these Japanese individuals and try to help and reconcile these sacrifices and help to financially support these individuals or whatnot. And therefore, when these weapons can be used and when the sacrifices can be made, we believe that we not only can we minimize the casualties, we can also solve the discrimination that will happen if we do not use this weapon, and when Japan or the country who caused this war will be always blamed. That's why we are very proud to oppose.
야당 부대표역의 은준 학생은 정부가 공리적인 입장을 취해 다수 입장을 대변해야 한다고 말했습니다. 신무기의 사용이 사상자를 최소화할 수 있으며 추후 발생할 수 있는 차별 문제도 해결할 수 있다고 주장했습니다. 날카로운 반박에 맞서야 하는 다음 주자는 역동적인 제스처로 토론하는 모습이 눈에 띄는 이 학생. 이 학생은 바로 최드위 국제학교의 변시현 학생입니다. 여당 원내대표로서 세 번째 주자로 나서게 되는데요.
보통 되게 활발하고 말도 많고 이제 장난도 많이 치고 웃음기도 많아서 되게 팀 분위기를 밝게 해주는 친구예요. 그리고 발표할 때는 이제 되게 클래시도 잘 잡고 이제 깔끔하고 정리된 방식을 말하는 걸 가지고 있어서 웹스피커하기에 딱 적당하다고 생각했어요.
보기만 해도 밝은 에너지가 느껴지는 변시현 학생, 기대해 봅니다.
Ladies and gentlemen, and our most honorable adjudicator, I'm the government under the motion, this House believes that the scientists should conceal the discovery and destroy it. Before I move on to our main clash points, I'd like to rebut and clarify to some points. Firstly, we believe that the check and balance mechanism is insufficient. And secondly, opposition has a simple assumption that 1, war will end after this sacrifice, and 2, there will be less people sacrificed by this than war, and 3, the check and balance is sufficient. The deputy leader of opposition continuously talks about the international community helping the end of the war and check and balance. However, will the international community be strong enough to do all these things during a world war? No. Since the international community's power comes from nations' cooperations in war, it's impossible to expect such from international communities. Now, I'd like to move on to our main clash points. Our first clash is about the necessity. Is it really necessary to show the substance to the community? We believe that it will be very risky for the nation to use this substance. The opposition told us that we have to decrease the wartime rather than doing this. However, we want to say that decreasing the time of war is very hard. A war is a very serious and not good issue. We can't simply assume when the war will actually end. And also, as I told you in my rebuttal, the international community can't also help the people in the world war since it's a very hard time. So they also told us that the war is already a fear, but we are at least wanting to decrease the fear. Also, they told us that the substance can help the technology and the nation, but we want to ask, how can you assume that the substance will help the nation when the context is that it will have destructive consequence? We believe that it will be very risky for the nation to use a substance which was never seen before. Now, moving on to our second clash. Our second clash is about the problems. What problems will occur? We want to look big. The nation is already unstable because of the war happening and because of many people and citizens dying. The citizens doesn't have much trust towards the government, and the status quo is in a very hard situation because the war is happening. We believe that the government is already suffering from many problems such as these. We don't want to give more burden to the government when they are already suffering and when the nation is already unstable. We don't want to give them more burden for the government to make them care and worry about the substance they found. The government doesn't know what substance it is, and they can't assume what consequence it will result to. So we, as a responsible government, we want to minimize the government's burden because they are already suffering of many problems like the citizens dying and the innocent sacrificing. When the substance gets out to the community, the government will lose more trust and many stakeholders will suffer in surprisement and will be shocked. Last but not least, the citizens. We believe that the citizens are the most important stakeholders of the society. We want short-term benefit. We believe that there are many citizens dying in the status quo. They're innocent. They didn't really try to make the war happen. And they're just innocent citizens that live in the nation. But in the status quo, there are so many people dying in the status quo, and many innocents are getting sacrificed. We want to solve the problem right now and prevent from more sacrifice of the innocent. However, the opposition is being irresponsible and seem like they are not really caring about the citizen's life. So for these reasons, we're very proud to propose.
여당 원내 총무역의 시연 학생은 국제사회에서 견제와 균형의 원칙은 기대하기 어렵다고 반박했습니다. 또한 유해물질 공표로 인한 국가의 위험성, 무고한 시민들의 희생을 경계했네요. 시연 학생의 똑 부러지는 주장을 막을 대항마는 과연 누구? 하하, 야당 원내 총무역을 맡은 한밭 초등학교 고유경 학생.
저희 3번 주자 유경이는 일단 말을 되게 잘하고 상대가 발표한 내용과 저희가 발표한 내용을 잘 비교해서 저희 중요한 3번 주자입니다.
상대팀 분석 능력이 뛰어난 대항마 고유경 학생 기대해 봅니다.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we believe the biggest shareholder of today's debate is the citizens that are living in the country that the war happened. So we think that the government should do the best to solve these war crises and help the citizens recover to their present lives. So this is why I have my first class, which choice will lessen the sacrifice of their citizens and also the economic situations of this country. We think this is a very important clash because war has already happened and it is already an immoral thing. Government's bigger responsibility now is to care about saving more citizens and at least helping their country so that it can stand up again. So, first of all, we like to prove about check and balance. The government side told us about the history, how Hitler utilized their weapons. However, we think that the status quo is very different from Hitler because Hitler was leading in a time when citizens did not know that dictatorship is a bad thing. However, in the status quo, there are democratic values. Every person has a democratic value, so the government is fearful of the citizens of accusing them too much and blaming these people. So we think that check and balance will form, which will stop nations from big harm. Yes?
So you're saying that the check and balance will be sufficient. However, during wartime, international communities will lose this power coming from the nation's corporation.
However, we believe that big harm still will not happen because the government is afraid of the citizens blaming their responsibility. So we believe that the government is not stupid enough as the affirmative team behaves and describes them as. Also, the extreme uses of this substance will lead to so much backlashes into international society and blames of the international society, which will abandon this nation from this international society. This will lead to having natural check and balance. And second, I'd like to discuss about the time of war. We think that lessening time of war is important because longer the war, the more the casualties happen. So we think that on our case, through this substance, we will finish the war. For example, when America dropped the bomb on Japan, the war ended. They say us that this is an assumption, but first, just like I said, the example of Hiroshima proves it. But second, even though the wartime does not decrease, the opponents will know each other that there is technology that the opponent can revenge and use it. So this will lessen the civilian sacrifice because this gives incentive for the citizens to stop war and encourage the government to stop this war, and many groups will also give incentive to the government. Also, compromises happen between the opponent's government opponent's government, between each government, this will lead for a peace contract, so this will promote the peace of the international society. And third, about the region that is damaged through the war. Our worst case scenario is when a single region is damaged through this weapon. In this case, government can help these people living in this region by moving them to another region that is stable, so that the government can help these people and subsidize these people so they're still able to live well. However, on their side of the case, since there's overall big damage to every part of the region because of a long time of war and use of so many weapons, we think the war will go on for a long time. And this will lead for the country to become harder to stand up because there's a lot of economical damage for every region, and there's no region that the people can stably live in. So the government and the citizens will be in a worse situation. It will be hard for them to find from where they should start again and from where they should rebuild their country. And this is why we believe that because of the time of war and the regions, and also there is check and balance, we will be able to lessen the sacrifice if we use this weapon. And this is why I'm more than proud to oppose.
야당 원내 총무역의 유경 학생은 과거와 달리 현재는 민주주의 가치가 높기 때문에 견제와 균형의 원칙이 가능하다고 반박했는데요. 또한 신무기를 사용함으로써 희생을 줄일 수 있다고 강조했습니다. 자, 토론은 이제 끝을 향해 달려가고 있는데요. 야당 측 마지막 투자는? 바로 이 학생이 야당 측의 주장을 견고히 해줄 최종 변론자입니다. 서울 대도초등학교의 최수연 학생.
저희 네 번째 주자 최수연은 디베이트 전체를 잘 포장하고 잘 정리해서 우리 팀에 유리하게 잘 끌고 나가기 때문에 네 번째 주자가 가장 적합합니다.
조금 긴장돼 보이는 수연 학생, 잘 마무리해 주실 거죠?
Mr. Madam Speaker, we think that the government is actually just worrying about some citizens panicking just about them knowing of this weapon. While in the war, so many people are actually dying, and the war is keep continuing, which is making so much facilities broke down and people die. And as a reply, I have two main questions which I found in this debate, and I would like to prove why we won throughout answering this question, and to tell you who actually answered this question more. So firstly, is it necessary to use this weapon? So I think this was the both teams' burden to actually prove and answer whether we actually need this or we do not need this. And the government's response was which they're in the side of not using this weapon. The government side's response was if we destroy this weapon, that will actually bring a safer society. And for the citizens, they will actually, and if we actually just reveal this type of information, the citizens will actually be in panic, chaos, and the citizens could actually be harmed by this information or the usage of this weapon. However, we think, and moving to the opposition's bench, the opposition's response was that war is already inhumane. We think the war is already actually making so much deaths, casualties, and actually breaking down all these facilities. We think that is the war's characteristics itself. And thus we think that it is really necessary to use this weapon to actually minimize the casualties that might actually happen, casualties and the deaths or the loss of the war itself. However, we think that in the government side, they actually failed to answer the question: how will they actually decrease the casualties when the war continues? If they conceal, this weapon and that. And we think that they did not answer this whole, which is very irresponsible. We think that when the government failed to answer this and prove this, they are just leaving out their hands and just saying, we're not going to tell them because citizens might panic. And if the war happens, if the war continues and continuously make deaths, casualties, or all the problems, it's not our responsibility. We think that is very irresponsible of the government team to just leave the situation itself and let the war continue without actually using the way to actually end that war and protect the citizens and minimize the casualties. Secondly, what are the cases of the both teams? So in the government's case, like if we don't really use this weapon, war will continue. And the war won't finish, so it will result in millions of deaths and millions of the death of the city. So the city can't be actually recovered, and we think that that's a worst case. And even if the government side says that this, like the war continuing, is an assumption, we have two responses, as we have told you continuously. Firstly, we think that like as the atomic bomb in the Japan, that this will work. And secondly, even if this might not work, we think that civilian damage is actually decreased because like the countries which have it will actually try to use that in revenge. Thus, we think that our team was better in this debate. Thank you.
야당 최종 변론자 역할을 맡은 수연 학생은 사상자 최소화를 위한 정부의 대안이 없다고 지적하며 논리를 펼쳤습니다. 또한 신무기의 활용으로 전쟁으로부터 입는 피해를 줄일 수 있다고 거듭 강조했죠. 자, 그렇다면 정부 측의 최종 변론자 만나볼까요? 장난기가 가득한 표정인데요. 네, 바로 이 학생이 정부 측 최종 변론자 서울국제학교의 김정현 학생입니다.
원래 되게 활발하고 좀 같이 잘 놀아주고 그런 되게 좋은 친구예요. 그리고 그리고 살짝 말을 잘 하는데, 그래서 reply는 왜 우리가 이겼는지 이렇게 얘기해주는 그런 그 직업인데 되게 잘 말해주고 살짝 그 whole debate를 다 정리해주는 거에서 되게 잘하는 것 같아요.
정리왕 정현 학생, 정부 측 주장에 마지막으로 힘을 실어주세요.
Mr. Madam Speaker, today in this debate, I found three major questions. First is, would revealing the substance benefit the society? Our stance is to make a better and a safer society for the citizens as possible. To do this, we believe that we should not show the destructive substance to the society, but rather destroy it. So first of all, the individuals and the society as a whole will get affected. How this is a destructive substance. If this is revealed, you will get harmed, or in the worst case, you might die. However, if we conceal this, there will be no additional fear because of this substance. With our side proposition team's policy, it will benefit the society and the citizens and the society as a whole, when on the other hand, the opposition team's policy will just worsen the case. My second question is, would the check and balance system be enough? The deputy leader of opposition continuously talks about the international community helping the end of the war and check and balance. However, would the international community be strong enough to do all these things during the war? No, of course not. Since the international community's power comes from the nations' cooperations in war, it is impossible to expect such from international communities. The opposition whip suddenly talks about the time period and how people will know dictatorship is bad. However, in time of war, people are irrational due to fear, so releasing this information will increase irrationality caused by fear than before. My third question is, how will it be fair for the individual sacrificed by the weapon? We believe that there will be additional discrimination in choosing these individuals because the weak will be targeted most. So since it caused unfairness and discrimination, it should not be promoted. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition team is drifting this debate away from the motion. It is about the substance and not about the war. The opposition team was increasing to not pay attention to the motion. At the meantime, our side continuously linked our arguments to the motion. Madam Speaker, many people are dying right now. We want to stop this tragedy at this very moment. For these reasons, if you really care about the citizens, please vote for the government team. Thank you.
정부 측 최종 변론자 역할의 정현 학생은 유해 물질의 위험성에 대해 경계하고 견제와 균형의 원칙이 지켜지기 어렵다는 점을 강조했습니다. 또한 사회적 약자에 대한 차별 발생을 내세우며 찬성 측 입장을 더욱 견고히 해주었네요. 유해 물질이 사회 전반에 악영향을 주므로 이를 없애야 한다는 찬성팀. 희생을 최소화하기 위해 유해 물질을 공표해야 한다는 반대팀. 과연 이들의 결과는 어떻게 될 것인가? 토론을 마친 학생들이 서로를 격려해주고 있네요. 아이고, 이 모습 참 보기 좋네, 좋아. 팽팽한 격전 속에서 벌써 나는 이렇게 저물고, 자, 이제 끝으로 시상식만을 남겨두고 있습니다.
지금부터 시상식을 시작하도록 하겠습니다.
학생들의 환호와 빛나는 트로피 속에 수상자는 과연 누가 될지 궁금하시죠? 네, 수상자는 바로 모든 진출자였습니다. Ytn 초등학생 영어토론대회는 경쟁보다 화합을 중시하는데요. 그렇기 때문에 참가 학생들에겐 참가상을, 본선 진출자들에겐 개인 부문, 본선 부문 등 모든 학생들에게 상을 줍니다. 서로를 다독이고 격려했던 지난 날들, 결국 모두에게 소중한 시간으로 남았습니다. 앞으로 나아갈 아이들의 길을 응원해주고 싶네요. 글로벌 리더가 될 우리 학생들, 파이팅입니다.
정말 좋아요. 우리 처음 목표는 그냥 예선만 통과하고 본선만 올라가는 거였는데 이렇게까지 올 줄은 몰랐었어요. 8% 져서 못할 줄 알았는데 하게 돼서 기뻐요. 와!
힘들었지만 정말 좋은 경험이 된 것 같습니다.
열심히 연습해서 대회에 나와서 슈퍼팀 되니까 보람찬 것 같습니다.
하나, 둘, 셋!
쇼핑!